Alright, I'm Frank Urbanski, and I did MOPS, which stands for Mobile Outward Person Sensor. For my presentation, I'm going to go over what I originally wanted to do, all the problems I encountered, what it did, and then what it started doing 14 hours ago. Alright. My original idea was to have MOPS with the little Hobbytron car, which costed, I guess, $14, really cheap, as Mark was explaining. We have the Arduino, which controls all our cars. H-bridges, which control forward and back motion and turning the gearbox left and right. Ultrasonics, which now I have 2 of them, which I will explain soon. And originally, passive infrared sensors, which was going to be a MOPS-specific thing. No other car was going to be using it. So first we have PIR fun. I have 3 sets. We went through 3 different sets of PIRs. I'm just going to pass them around. You guys can take them out and look at them. It's fine. The 2 smaller ones were the cheap ones. They were about 100 cents, $1 each. And the larger one, it was $8, which I ended up buying later. The difference between was, when we were buying the PIR sensors, basically it said on the site, we think these are PIRs, figure it out, no data sheets or anything. We think it needed a lens to focus the PIR signal, so that's what the bigger one actually has on it, is a lens. With the ultrasonics, when we got them, they were one of the more expensive parts. They were about $25 each, which is why we only have 2 of them we share in between each cars. They're very easy to use, and there's a lot of community effort put into tell us how to use them for when we first started up. Pretty easy. Basically, all we did was we hooked it up to the Arduino, set it down, started reading data right into our computer with the code the community provided. What we did to figure out, I figured out, okay, I want about this much space so my car can detect before it does whatever I want it to do. I just put a box down in front of it where I have about the distance I want it, and just wrote down the value so I can use that as a constant in my programs. And I'm going to go over the different theory for using ultrasonics and how I went about coding it. Alright, so it's pretty easy in mind and pretty easy to code. You know, what I originally was doing was once I got so close to an object, so if he was running straight at this table, once he got to about here, I wanted him to stop. So he wouldn't run into it. And then I'll talk about the testing and implementation. So the coding, the problems with the coding was, okay, so I had him stopping about a foot and a half away from it, but all we could do was turn the wheels off and he would glide and still hit. Easy way to fix that was, at the same distance, we had him stop, and for about half a second, we had the wheels running in reverse real quick, so he would basically roll up and then slow down enough where he would stop about 2 inches before whatever he was going to hit. And then eventually I had him, once he got so far, he would back up and turn, and then continue going out of the way of the objects. Anytime he detected one, he would just back up and turn. So it was really simplistic, not really all that smart, just I'm not going to hit anything, I'm going to back up and turn and turn anything in front of me. So the problems I'm still wanting to work on, he was originally a mobile person sensor. PIRs, we expected them to work as, okay, it detects body heat, it must be a person, that's what's going to be our assumption at the time. What it does is detect black body radiation, which everything emits, so even if you take a folder and wave it in front of it, it notices the folder's motion, which didn't work the way we wanted to. So that's where I wanted to go with this, it didn't happen. Alright, so what I ended up doing was I have these 2 ultrasonics, kind of the right one speed off to the right, left one speed off to the left, they each emit their own signal. So I still have the, if I get too close to something, it'll stop, back up and turn, and then continue going straight again. But at a little further distance, if he sees something over here, he'll turn his wheels left to start to turn and avoid it. Same thing if he sees something on the left, he'll turn his wheels right and start to avoid it that way. Real quick, approximate price overview. It's a car, $14, Arduino was $32, which is our most expensive part. PIRs that I originally was going to use were the latest ones I had were $8. The breadboards and wires were about $5 each. 2 ultrasonics, so that came up to $50, and just the H-bridges were $2. So just a little over $100, which in relative terms is kind of cheap. Alright, so I'm going to bring up some of my code examples now. Alright, so this is the code I'm using now. These two basically set the pins, let the Arduino receive a signal and give information to the two ultrasonics. The numbers next to them are just what pin on the Arduino. They're numbered 0 through 13 on one side for the digital, and 0 through 5 on the analog. So basically we're just setting what pins they're actually connected to. These are just integer values that I can keep information. And the speed and turn speed, the way the analog works, you can give it a value from either 0 to 255. 255 is full speed, or a full voltage, and 0 is off. I had it set to 127, which is dead in the center. If I had it 255, he went way too fast and was crashing into things. Turn speed, I just have it set to full because I want him to be able to turn his wheels as fast as he can. Stop now is how far away in terms of the ultrasonic value is when he'll actually stop, back up, and turn. Turn now is a little further than that because I want him to be able to avoid it before he has to stop, back up, and turn. Just as Mark's car, there's the 8, there's for going back and forth and for turning. Basically what this says right here is just letting you know that these pins are only going to be for output from the Arduino. So this right here turns all the wheels and everything off, and it starts the car going forward. This code, all of this, all the way down here, is what, so the ultrasonic will send out a signal, wait for a signal to come back, and read how long it took for it to go away and come back. And that is stored here.